everybody, and welcome back to Blanche Fitness. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means? It's time for Jump Around, our weekly cardio class, and apparently we've just run around the corner into summer because this whole week is supposed to be all 90-degree days. Oh my god. So I definitely have turned the AC on for class. And we'll turn it off once I'm done. Oh my goodness. It is, yep, here we are. We've made it back around. But hi everybody. Welcome back. I've been giggling to myself on social media because, you know, I will write my notification posts in advance and schedule them to go out so that I'm not trying to remember every single day to be like, oh, I have to let people know, you know, what class is happening today. And both yesterday and today's pre-written posts, like there was a possibility that I wouldn't actually be feeling similarly to the emotions that I expressed in the post, and then I looked at them and I was like, oh yeah, today is definitely a day where I am feeling very much the like, it seems like we just blinked and suddenly everything ramped back up to 1,000,000%. So if you've been feeling that too, we talked about that a lot yesterday, but if you've been feeling that too, then today will be good because today will help us to recenter, get that jolt of exercise, and hopefully send us through the rest of the week feeling pretty good. But yeah, wow, it has been a busy week, a very busy week with lots of stuff in it, and a lot of good stuff too. Like I've been very excited this week because I've been, I've been trying to very deliberately carve out time for myself where I'm like, I am going to use this time to practice something that I want to work on or learn. And that's been feeling really wonderful. So like last night, you know, I've been scheduling like hour chunks and I'm not necessarily doing the full hour yet, which is fine because again, perfect is the enemy of good. And sometimes ramping up is exactly what we need to do. So like, I'm not getting down on myself for that. But like last night I spent 20 minutes just playing my ukulele. And today during my lunch break, I started learning choreography for a K-pop dance that I really enjoy. And it just feels really nice to be like, oh, these are just fun things that I kind of want to try my hand at just for myself and to give myself more variety and more creative outlets during the day. So I've really been enjoying that, and just like putting it in my calendar so it's like a period of time where I'm like, I am giving myself permission to be like, this is what I'm gonna do right now, and I don't have to do anything else, and I don't have to schedule social time there or anything. So yeah, that's been quite lovely, and feels really nice. So, but I can also feel on the other side of the coin, like it's been a really busy week. And so, you know, we talk a lot about the importance of rest, and rest is important not only as a component of our fitness programming, but also just as a component of our greater lives. And that is definitely one of the things that I'm like feeling not concerned about, but just knowing myself and knowing that I'm gonna need to put some focused effort into making sure that I get rest days, you know, rest hours, just like time that is also completely unstructured, where I'm not, you know, saying to myself, oh, I have to do X, Y, or Z thing, or have to do X, Y, or Z, productive task. But just letting myself, you know, sit around, relax, watch videos if I want to, play video games, what have you. So it is a learning week for sure, but an enjoyable one. Just also a very tiring one because there is a lot on my plate for any number of reasons, work related, personal, all this stuff. So yeah, it's been a big week. It's been a big week, and I'm feeling that need for a little bit of physical activity just to reground myself, sort of move a lot of the effort out of my brain, because this is all very brain heavy activity that I've been doing this week. So having something that's a little more body focused is a nice switch for my brain. And as we've talked about, my brain is also involved in exercise, but it's a very different set of processing. So it just gives us a break, a nice break. Yeah, big yawns. But thank goodness for air conditioning, because otherwise it would be a bit of a sauna workout. I hope you all have your water, because that's one of the things when we head into summer. You know, obviously we have a lot of opportunities for outdoor activities, and that's awesome, and we want to take advantage of them, but it is also super important to remember that environment has an impact on us physically, health-wise, and heat stroke's a really real thing, okay? And it's not good. It's very dangerous. So it's super important to pay attention to weather reports, even in summer. Like, doesn't matter whether it's going to be sunny out, pay attention to what the temperature is going to look like. Pay attention to what the air quality is going to look like. And, you know, maybe don't go for a run outdoors. Maybe bring it in on a treadmill, or go for a run super early in the morning or super late at night when it's going to be cooler. But you know, making sure that we're fully hydrated is always important, but particularly important in a hotter season. Okay, so just stuff for us to, you know, circle back to and just remind ourselves, because a lot of times we go, woo, gorgeous weather, let me just be outside and do the things, and forget about the fact that, you know, 90-degree weather is no joke to move around in. Yeah, so be careful, be safe, and be glad that we also have opportunities to get really good workouts while inside and hopefully out of the worst of the heat. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I think that it's time to kick off class, because I could definitely feel myself just sort of melting into a little bit of a post-work puddle. And before I do that, I want to make sure that we have a good class. So, welcome. If this is your first time to the stream, to any of the classes, welcome. Jump Around is our weekly cardio class. It's high intensity interval training, so a lot of juxtaposition of really intense effort and rest, full rest. If this is your first class or your first month, I always recommend, rather than coming in and being like, I'm going to give 100% or 110%, focusing instead on the bare minimum, which consists of 3 things: starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. And truly, that's all you need to focus on. If that is all you focus on, you are going to get a great workout, and you're not necessarily going to traumatize yourself so much that you don't want to come back to class, because that's what we want to avoid, right? So let's do our pre-class checklist. We've got our water in whatever vessel we are using. I favor the nice mason jar here. And of course, we're in our homes, so you can have your water in whatever setup you please. We've got our comfy clothes, whatever that means to you. We've got our mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn them on to high-intensity interval training. I almost turned on a outdoor walk setting, because that's what I last used. And that, I would have been very confused. All right, we're ready? We're ready, Freddie? And I'm gonna try to, for today, dig a little bit more deeply into more specifics on the warm-up, because I haven't really done that in a while. And, you know, it's easy to forget that while those of us who've been doing class for ages are old hands at this warm-up, somebody who's new doesn't know the structure of the exercises. So I'm gonna try to do that. So, everybody on your mats. Did I turn? I did. Look at me go. Everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as that horn goes off, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. So, hip rocks and bridges, our very first warm-up exercise, and the goal of the warm-up, it's a boot-up sequence. So we are not going into the warm-up immediately going, oh yeah, gotta go for speed, gotta go for intensity. No, we are turning on systems. We're turning on energy production systems. We're letting our brain know that it's time to send electrical signals to our muscle fibers. So with this first exercise, we are activating our core for the first time. So when we rock the hips up into the air, yeah, you push your foot off the floor, but you also need to contract those abdominals, and that's what's going to pull the hips up into the air. Then when you put the foot back on the floor, just come up onto the ball of the foot and then go up into the bridge position, okay? So really the hip rock is, all right, other side. The hip rock is guided almost entirely by the core engagement, okay? And not from like trying to push your foot really far off the ground. And then just having that nice bridge. One of the other nice things about this exercise is we get a little bit of an active hip stretch, because every time we do the hip rock, we're pulling this entire apparatus closer to our chest, and that's going to help intensify the stretch in our hips. So it's very similar to a pigeon stretch position, if you've ever done that in a yoga class. So yeah, you're getting a little bit of a hip stretch, you're activating the core for the very first time, and getting that engagement in the bridge. Now we go into our leg sequence. So we start with Jane Fonda. So we are on our sides, just balanced on our sides, core engaged to prevent the hips from rolling backwards or forwards. And we're just lifting that top leg up into the air. And again, we don't have to be going for as high as you can go, okay? We are really deliberately ramping up over the course of the warm-up, okay? This is a 16-minute sequence, and it's designed to ramp us up slowly and to sort of move through different muscle groups and different joints to get everything activated, get all the systems online, and just get you to a place by the end of it where you're like, all right, it's workout time. Now we're taking that top foot, putting it flat on the floor in front of the bottom knee, and lifting that bottom leg up, okay? So this position can be really difficult to hold because we want that knee pointing straight up at the ceiling. We don't want it caving forward. So depending on your hip flexibility, you may have to engage some of the muscles in the hip socket to really pull the knee backwards. I don't have to do that on this side. This side's really easy for me. I can just sort of plug and play here, okay? So we'll see on the other side what it looks like when I do need to engage that hip socket a little bit more intensely. But we want to start this work here so that by the time we're up on our feet and we're doing squats, we are already in the habit of nice, safe knee positioning, okay? And now take that foot, put it behind the bottom knee, still flat against the floor. Now still lifting that leg, and we are just this is our beach pose it's super chill. You're not going to have to do anything major to keep the knee pointing up at the ceiling. You're not worried about your hips rolling backwards or forwards because you've got this nice stable structure here. So you can really just focus in on the movement of the leg, right? And on really identifying what the muscle groups are that are doing the movement and engaged in the movement. And there are the obvious ones in the inner thigh, but then you can also feel activation coming all the way up to the lower abdominals. So just a good time to examine the ways in which multiple muscle groups get activated by the same exercise. And now we're on our other side doing the exact same 3 exercises. So we're back with Jane, and if your working leg right now is feeling a little tired, that's because this was the bottom leg and now it's become the top leg. So this is the 3rd interval in a row that this has been the working leg. So don't worry, totally normal for it to feel a little more tired on this side. And we want to make sure our body is in a straight line, okay? So we don't want to be in a V in either direction. So if that's not something you're used to being able to just get into position-wise, then use a guide, like the long edge of your mat, okay? Line yourself up against it, and then just start to commit to memory how that position feels. All right, now for our second exercise. So on this side, I don't have the same degree of flexibility in the hip, so my knee naturally wants to sort of cave forward. So I need to actively pull it backwards using the muscles in the back of my hip socket, okay? And that's something I focus on here. And again, if I'm not able to do that perfectly here, it's not the end of the world. We're not putting any standing pressure on this leg, so, you know, it's not going to be super dangerous, but this also is the perfect time for us to practice that form. Practice that technique during an exercise where it's not required for safety, so that by the time we're doing an exercise where it is required for safety, we can be confident that we're doing it correctly, okay? So that's the thing to think about there. And now our beach pose on side 2. Here we are, just chilling, and man, 90-degree weather. I wish I was at the beach. But yeah, just relaxing right here again. Just trying to focus in on the sensations of the muscle groups as they are taking us through the exercise. The foot position, I'm pretty agnostic on. I tend to go somewhere between a neutral foot and a flexed foot. You can also do a point if that feels more comfortable to you. It's going to activate different muscles. All of these different positions are going to activate your muscles a little bit differently. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I do not feel strongly about it. So whatever you feel comfortable doing is going to be fine. All right. Okay. Now we move into opening up hips and spine. So we start with scorpion twists, arms firmly planted on the ground, twisting one leg behind us, trying to get that foot flat on the floor, knee pointing up towards the ceiling, and then rolling to the other side, okay? But the main thing is keeping those elbows connected to the ground at all times. So that provides a gauge of where our flexibility is. You know, I may be like, oh yeah, I can totally get to that top position. All I have to do is lift my elbow off the floor a little bit. Well, I hate to tell you this, but you can't get to that position yet. You don't have the flexibility, and that's fine, okay? Because this will also help you to notice when you are able to hit that position later on in your training, okay? All right, now we stand and we hold our imaginary PVC pipe above our heads, and we're doing these nice big torso rotations, okay? And we're changing directions every 2 rotations or so because we're only doing this for 1 timer. So we want to make sure we're evened out, okay? And we're not moving the arms and following after them. We're not trying to dive bomb down with our heads. We are generating the movement. It starts from the hips, all right? We sort of flat back all the way over. You get a little bit of a bend as you go through the bottom of the position and then stand back up. So it's all starting in the hips, okay? And there we go. Just nice big circles. Now we take the feet a little bit farther apart and we are doing squats. Still holding our imaginary PVC pipe up in the air above our heads. And now is our first opportunity to check in on our knee positioning for the squats, okay? So we want our knees to be going straight over our feet the whole time. We don't want them caving in towards each other at any point. So you may be able to get down into this position safely, but then as you're standing up, they try to pull together. If you feel that at any point, just narrow your stance a little bit, okay? Narrow that stance, start again. All right, cool, I can maintain this. And then practice in this position for as many classes as you need to, and then take it back out and try again, all right? Now, we throw down our imaginary pipes and we go into our Samson stretches. Nice, big, active stretch, really focusing on the front of the hip flexor. So we come from the standing position, one leg back into this nice deep lunge, arms reaching straight up into the air, then we step back to the front and to the other side. You want to keep your hips square to the front, okay, so not opening out into like a warrior 2, all right? If you had headlights on your pelvic bones, they should be shining forward the whole time. And I'm not actively arching my back. I've got a bend in it because of the position, but I'm not trying to intensify that. So I'm just lifting the arms straight up in the air. All right, now into our wide squat, hands on the knees, and we're doing a shoulder twist. So with the scorpion twists, we were working the low to mid spine. Now we're getting that nice twist in the top of the spine by just bringing one shoulder in towards the midline, then the other, okay? And the only things that should be moving are your shoulders. So we're not coming up and down out of this squat position, and we want to make sure the knees are staying solidly over the feet, not trying to follow the shoulder as it comes in. Having the hands on the knees helps that, obviously, because it helps to lever them out, but just something to keep in mind, because sometimes we do this position where you don't get to have your hands on your knees, and it's a lot harder. All right, now into the cardio section. And we begin with jumping jacks. Everybody knows how to do jumping jacks. I don't really worry about people's form for this. Just a couple of things. We're not doing full versions yet. So again, we have hit the cardio section, but this is still the warm-up. This is still the boot up sequence. So I'm doing bare minimum jumping jacks, not taking my feet out too far apart, keeping a nice bend in my elbows, and just starting to get my heart rate going a little faster, get my breathing going a little faster. So this is the last part of the boot up where we get our cardiovascular system ready for the remaining 45 minutes of class. And now kick throughs, which if you've never done this exercise before, it's a little complex, so stay with me. One hand flat on the ground, shoulder over the wrist. The opposite leg is your standing leg. You want a 90-degree angle with the knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Kick the free leg across your body, then come into the center, put the other arm down, kick the other leg across, and back, and forth, and back, and forth. And we can really take it slow when you're learning this exercise. You know, it speeds up as you get more confident, but it's a lot of moving parts. So take it nice and slow as you're learning it for as long as you need to, okay? And finally, burpees. So we jump into our plank and we do a wave push-up. Not a plank push-up, a wave push-up, okay? Keeping those elbows right in by the sides and up, and then a nice big victory clap at the top of the position, okay? And this is our last exercise before we go into the rest of class. So making sure that you're feeling nice and stable in the shoulders, nice big clap above the head with that jump, feeling ready to go, a little bit of sweat, and ready to challenge yourself for the rest of class, eh? Yeah, there we are. All right, let's get some water. Whew. I could definitely use some. Yeah, here we are. Hydration. It's so important. Oh my goodness, it's so important. All right, we're just gonna do a bunch of tabatas today, and I think I'm probably gonna make them one exercise tabatas, because that gives us the opportunity to focus in on the exercise that we're doing, okay? A lot of times I'll do two and alternate back and forth, but today I think just one. And a tabata interval, in case you haven't heard that term before, is a HIIT class interval, 20-second work interval, 10-second rest interval. And you go back and forth some number of times. For this class, it'll be 8 total times. So that's 4 minutes, all told. For this first one, let's do some bicycles. Y'all know how much I love those. So, bicycles, ab exercise. We engage the core, contract those muscles. That contraction lifts my shoulders, my chest, my head off the floor. One knee into the chest, the other leg extended but off the ground. Opposite elbow to knee, and switch, and switch, and switch. And we just go back and forth like that. All right? Keeping the hands in front of the face. We're not putting them behind the head. We're not pulling forward, okay? You want to make sure the movement is generated from the core. All right. So, everybody start on your mats. I hope you got some water. And that sound did not mean go. That was our, hey, rest sound. Then the knocking tells us to get ready, get in a position, so that as soon as that fanfare goes, we are moving. So that is a critical component of starting on time, okay? We make sure that the millisecond that we start to hear that fanfare, we are going. And we don't stop until we hear that sound, okay? And the knocking is just to give us the opportunity to get prepped, to get into position, so that we aren't standing up or sitting up weirdly, and then the fanfare goes and we're like, ah, crap, I'm supposed to be moving, and instead I'm in this totally different position. And then you lose out on precious time, because 20 seconds is not actually that long of a time period. So, oh, yeah. And when we do abdominal exercises, I know I talk about this a lot, but it is so easy for us to unknowingly compensate for weak abdominals by using any number of other muscle groups to try and complete the exercise. So a lot of times when you do like crunch type exercises, people will be like, well, I don't really feel it in my core, but man, my neck's really sore after that. And that's frequently because people have their hands behind their heads and they're trying to pull forward to get to the final position. And that's obviously not actually using your abdominals. So it's one of the reasons why I tell you to keep your hands in front of your face, and it's really important to check in and be like, what are the muscles that I am using to maintain this position, to pull those knees in, to twist my torso so that I'm able to reach my elbow across my body to the opposite knee, all right? And the answer to all of those questions should be the abdominal muscles. Abdominals, obliques, okay? The obliques are good for generating a lot of this twisting force, and the abdominals are good for rounding and shortening the distance between, say, your breastbone and your belly button, yeah? So if you have the experience of doing ab workouts and being like, man, I never feel anything from those, it must mean that my abs are super strong. Well, while that is possible, it is more likely that you're just not using the correct muscle group. And I know this because that was me for years. Basically until I started doing this class. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I've always had a strong core, and that's why I never feel anything from these exercises. And it's true, I absolutely have always had a pretty strong core, but there was definitely room for improvement. And woof, when I finally really realized that, I was able to be like, oh my God, I did not know how much energy I was leaving on the table. Dang. All right. Just accidentally flinging water all over myself. Okay. We're gonna do another one. It's nice to only do one exercise per because it takes less time for me to demonstrate things too. So I can talk a little bit more, and you'll know how much I love to pontificate during our rests. Okay, we're gonna do that new sort of side crunch, standing side crunch. So, we're gonna, from a quick plie, quick squat, sorry, when in a dance mode, bring that one knee up and slightly open, okay? So we're not keeping the knee in front of the body. We're opening it out, lifting it up, contracting the obliques to bring same elbow down to knee, and lifting the opposite arm. And then up, 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 okay? And then on the second interval, other side. Huh, 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 okay? So we're just gonna go back and forth between those two. And That's a fun one. That's a fun one, I think. Oh, all right. Hopefully you've gotten your water. Head back towards your mats. Remember, the first sound does not mean go. That is our rest sound. That is our get ready sound. And remembering too that when I start the timer, the leader of class becomes the timer, okay? So don't wait for me to be like, hey, we're going, okay? Because frequently I'll get distracted, I'll be, mid-sentence, and just then suddenly be like, oh, we're supposed to be doing the thing. But the horn does not get distracted. The horn knows what time it's supposed to go every time. So I want you to always make sure that the horn is what you are taking as gospel here. Woo! I like this one. I came across it randomly on Instagram, I think. There are a lot of really interesting movers and teachers out there. And it's always really exciting to be going along and then be like, oh, that's not an exercise I thought of before, but it makes sense. So, yeah, as part of our, trying to increase our knowledge base this year, I'm going to be really exploring a lot online and just seeing what I'm able to find. Lost my balance there. And you know what? Sometimes that happens. But yeah, because, I have some exercises that I've been doing for ages and I like them a lot, but it's also really fun to find new things to work on and to be like, that works some different muscles that I'm not used to engaging, and just being like, okay, well, let's see what this looks like. All right, my friends, we are doing a great job. Absolutely fantastic. And I am super proud of you. All right, going along, pay attention to your hydration. Again, it might be very warm in your space. It definitely is here in mine. So make sure that you are getting plenty of water during our rests, okay? And not just going, oh, I'll get the water at the end of class. No. We drink water all throughout class. Because the fact is, we're just bad at hydrating ourselves in general. And so there is already a fairly good chance that you came into class a little bit dehydrated. And even if you didn't, you are expending a lot of fluids during class because you're sweating and you're breathing heavily, and we expend fluids when we breathe, right? It's not just sweat. Every time I breathe out, some water droplets go into the atmosphere. So it's really important to make sure that you are hydrating, okay? And I'm noticing that I'm getting a little bit of a stitch, which definitely tells me that I haven't hydrated enough. because yeah, that I believe the latest research is that side stitches like that are caused by exercising while you're not fully hydrated enough. So yeah, I'm gonna be reaching for the water a lot today. All right, next set, my friends, we are going to do what for most of us will probably be an imaginary jump rope, okay? If you have a jump rope, cool, grab it. If not, you are pretending that you do. So holding your arms out to the sides and rotating them, yes, rotating them as if you're spinning the jump rope and just jumping, okay? And going for speed, because we're only doing 20-second intervals, so we can really go for speed. So finish out that drink of water, head back towards your mat. Woo. Yeah, I need to definitely start turning the AC on more than 15 minutes before class. I think the problem is I spend most of the day in the lower floors of my house, and it's a lot cooler down there, whereas as soon as I walk up the stairs, it's like, holy crap, the temperature just went up by 10-20 degrees. So it's easy for me to forget because I don't really need the AC downstairs, and so I don't think to turn it on until I'm like walking upstairs to start prepping, and then I go, well, crap, that's gonna be a thing. So yeah, you can frequently tell what's on my mind during class by what I start talking about a lot. And the heat and humidity in the room is definitely top of mind right now. So hopefully you all have more air-conditioned rooms. So for our jump ropes, I don't generally give a ton of form notes, but as with basically everything, engaging the core is going to be huge because that helps to keep us grounded in one place and, you know, helps to stabilize the movement of the arms so they're not waving all over, and helps to remind us to keep that little bend in the knees as we land. So I want you to check in and make sure that your core is engaged for this. And if you find yourself, you know, jumping around all over the place on the mat, that is probably a sign that you may not be fully engaging your core in the way that you should be. All right? So basically every exercise can be improved by making sure your core is engaged. And anyone who's taken class with me for a while knows that I think the abdominals are just such a critically important stabilizing muscle group, and so I talk about them a lot. But I promise, as they get stronger, you will notice the difference in so many different exercises. It is amazing, okay? So I'm not just, spouting nonsense at you. I have just my own fitness has been revolutionized basically by strengthening my core muscles more. And I've been doing this for a long time. So if it can provide that much benefit for me, it's definitely gonna provide that much benefit for you. Oh, all right. Woof. There we are. Ooh. And one of the things that we think about in terms of the environment and the environmental impacts on our exercise is we can modify the amount of intensity we're putting into things. If it is super hot and humid, you don't want to be going for a speed PR, okay? You can pull back on that intensity because the very environment is adding a new intensity component, and you want to make sure that you compensate for that. Okay? So in the same way that, if you're doing a hot yoga class, you're not doing a full, constantly moving vinyasa flow. You're taking a single position and holding it because the intensity of the humidity provides a new type of effort and force on your body. And so you don't need to also be moving a ton. So it's just something to think about. All right, next set. Next set, my friends. Let's do some skips, hey? So just skipping in place like that, lifting one knee up, opposite arm comes up, hopping, hop, and then switch sides. Super simple. You can pretend that you're Julie Andrews in a meadow somewhere in Switzerland. Austria, sorry. Wow, I'm a bad musical theater nerd. And you're about to sing the title song from The Sound of Music, which obviously is what you want to be doing in the middle of a cardio class, right? Is singing. That definitely won't take too much of your cardiovascular system. Let me tell you, my cardiovascular system has improved dramatically since I started teaching this class. And again, in the same vein of, there are always things you can work on and improve. I've been a singer for my entire life, and so I have always had a pretty strong cardiovascular system, strong diaphragm. I've done musical theater, which requires you to dance and sing at the same time, but I had lost a lot of that strength in my adult years. Haven't done a ton of musicals since I became an adult, and certainly not musicals with the same kind of intensive choreography we used to do in high school. But teaching these classes has just ramped all that back up and then some. And it's really remarkable to be like, all right, I need to be able to push through and to communicate clearly and not like saying a single word and then going, and then saying another word. Like, I have to be able to say whole sentences. And it's very cool to be able to do. Now, as we're doing these skips, again, you want to make sure that you're not locking your knee as you bring it down, okay? So you don't want to lock all the way to here. You want to keep a little bit of a bend, not a huge one, but you'll feel the difference. You can absolutely feel the difference between, oh, I just landed against the floor with my knee locked and that hurt. And okay, I had a little spring, a little bounce, and that felt a lot better, okay? So thinking about ways to protect our knee joints as we're doing, you know, any number of things, honestly. Running, jumping of different types, skips, anything that requires that sort of hopping up and landing still in an upright position. We want to pay attention to our knees and make sure that we're not accidentally locking them out, because that definitely causes issues for your knee joint down the line, and we want to avoid that. Another thing we can do is pay attention to the type of surface we're on. So that's why I use the puzzle pieces, for example, so that I have a flexible surface to land on and to absorb some of that force. Oh, good job, everybody. Dang, 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 dang. Woo! There we go. Yeah, it is humid in here. And I have to keep reminding myself, because, you know, too frequently we end up in this mentality where we're like, I need to be beast mode the whole time. No, I can ramp it back a little bit and still be getting a great workout. All right, so next set, we're gonna do turtle stands, which if you want a little more of a challenge, you can modify into a turtle jump, all right? Totally fine. For either of them, we start, for any of the turtle exercises, we start rolling up onto the shoulders and then up onto the feet. If you need some assistance, you can push up with the hand or even lay a knee down on the floor, sort of roll over it and then bring the foot up. I recommend working as much as you can towards getting the momentum and the flexibility to just roll up onto the feet, because that'll help you through the entire exercise. And then it's just stand. Or if you're modifying, jump. Okay? So either way, stand or jump. Hell, you can mix or match. All right? That's fine too. But yeah, turtle stand or turtle jumps. Okay? Whew. All right, getting ready. You can start from down here. You can start from standing, wherever you feel comfortable. The turtle stand is a little bit easier on your joints, obviously, because we're not doing the jump and land. So if you've been feeling any discomfort in your knees, then sticking to the turtle stand may make the most sense. But it's not as intensive cardio-wise as the jump is going to be. So if you're like, nah, I want that extra kick of power and intensity, then yeah, turn it into a jump. Absolutely. And I don't demonstrate this as much as I wish I could, because I'm talking the whole time, but exhaling on the effort helps us to move through the more intense parts of an exercise. So what do I mean by that? Well, figure out where the most intense part of this exercise is. It's basically when I roll up on my feet and either jump or stand, that's where I'm having to exert the most force, the most internal force against external pressures. So a nice big exhale can really help to push me through that more intensive section of the exercise and just give me that little pop of energy. So I don't do it frequently, again, obviously because I'm over here chattering away, but I try to remind you whenever I think of it that it really helps, and it helps to really clear out your lungs and get them ready to take in more oxygen, yeah? So, yeah, just thoughts, things to help us on our way as we go through this class, through this hour. And remember too that I am a huge proponent of battle cries, of, large exclamations, of whatever you want to do to help power you through and inspire you. There's a reason why people use battle cries. It's as intimidation for the other side, yes, but also inspiration for ourselves. Reminders that we are such badasses and are able to achieve really impressive things. So one thing that I have noticed as a teacher is that people, AFAB people in particular, are generally much quieter in class and a little bit more reticent to take up that space. So the next thing about working out at home is you can take up as much space as you want. This is your dang house. So I really want you to play around with that, Start just with big dramatic exhale and then, add a little bit of a tone behind it. And then maybe see if you want to make a big shout or woo, some sort of a noise. We are our own cheerleaders. I'm obviously here as your cheerleader, but it's so important for you to be able to be your own cheerleader as well, okay? We're both cheering you on. All right. Dang. Okay. Next set is going to be flying chickens. Yay. Good old flying chickens. Oh, stretches are going to be so nice today. So we start with our feet together on the mat, and we're going to jump the feet apart in the air and then land them back exactly where they started. And at the same time, we've got our thumbs at chest height. If you wear a bra, you can hook your thumbs behind your bra straps, and you lift your elbows while you're in the air, and then bring them back down. So out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, just like that, all right? And core engaged, particularly important on this one because you've got all four limbs moving in different directions. So having that core engaged provides that stable center for them all to snap back to, okay? So flying chickens, my friends. Oh man, yeah, hopefully everyone is drinking plenty of water, getting ready here and going. There is a version of this called the star jump, which I stopped doing a while ago because it's a lot harder on your shoulders, and I don't think that it gives you that much more intensity as an exercise from just doing the flying chicken. And obviously I am very sensitive to things that are heavily impacting the shoulders because of my own shoulder issues. So that is an exercise. I will probably at some point put a form video up for it, and you can always modify to a star jump if you want to. But if you have shoulder issues, I definitely recommend just sticking with the flying chickens. It's gonna do the same intensity for you that you want it to do, okay? Oh, woo! See, cheering for ourselves. I have to be careful so I don't blow out the mic, but you don't have to worry about that at all. So, yeah, never be afraid to cheer for yourself, to be super impressed with what you are achieving, because I promise you, it's impressive. You're doing such good work, and you should absolutely be impressed with what you are accomplishing today in potentially 90-degree weather. Holy crap. Yeah. So be proud, absolutely. And don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to cheer. And don't forget to drink water. All right. We're on round 6. So 2 more after this one. And then we will have 1 final set. And that will be the end of class. And then we'll do a stretching sequence so that we can all cool down a little bit. And we like to, in terms of stretching, generally I advocate doing active stretches during the warm-up for an activity, and then static stretches at the end when your muscles are A, really warmed up, and B, a little more fatigued. So it's going to be easier and safer to move them into eccentric muscle actions without putting them at risk of tears, okay? Because eccentric muscle actions are us having to exert extra force on those muscle fibers so that they lengthen instead of contract. But they want to contract. So, hey! Hello, my dear. Good to see you. Rolling in at the end of class. Well, you could have been here the whole time for all I know. I'm just trying to stay hydrated right now. All right. Oh, I've spent the last, I'd say 15 minutes of class trying to psych myself up for my selection for our last Tabata, because y'all know that even though I've got the shoulder strength for it now, mountain climbers still activate that stress response in my brain. Hello! But we're gonna do them. We are gonna round out class with mountain climbers, my friends. So coming up into this nice plank position, shoulders directly over wrists, and our butts not up in the air, okay? And even as we're driving our knees in one at a time, you want to make sure that you're keeping your shoulders over your wrists rather than pushing back against your hands. You want to make sure that you're keeping your butt flat, not letting it come up into the air. So this is going to be our last exercise. If you don't have particularly strong shoulders, then this is probably a really intense exercise for you. That's okay. It can take us a while to build up to this exercise feeling easier. And the most important thing is just to try, just keep working on it. We're here at the end of class, so we can take all of those remaining pockets of energy and leave them all out on the mat, okay? We do not have to save energy for any more sets after this. So, you know, it's as if we've been running a half and we're at the last 0.1 miles. And we can see the finish line and we're like, oh, wow, suddenly I found this whole pocket of energy that I didn't know I had left, but I do, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to sprint towards that finish line. That's what we're doing here, all right? You have made it through an hour of class, which is amazing, and now is the time to really just dig deep, find out what you've got left, and leave it all right here, because I promise you'll be able to replenish it, all right? You're not saying goodbye to that energy forever, but you want to test yourself. You want to have at least one set where you're like, all right, I'm really going to go for broke on this, whatever that means to me, because that's going to be a subjective metric for all of us, depending on where we are in our fitness journey, depending on how our energy is today / this week. But knowing that you get to define what going for broke looks like, I want you to have a clear image in your head. I want you to go, all right, going for broke for me is going to be moving the whole time through every one of these sets. That's my criteria right there, because I'm feeling really exhausted and I don't know if I can make it to the end, and that's going to be my challenge. And that's awesome. I am proud of you. That's going to be great, okay? Or maybe you're at a different place in your fitness journey and you're like, all right, I'm feeling a lot stronger and more settled in my mountain climbers, so I am going to really push for some extra reps in these 20 seconds. And that is awesome, okay? So whatever going for broke means to you is that is the metric that you're going to use, all right? And we're getting those cheerleaders out for these last 2 sets, putting them on the floor, next to your mat, next to your laptop, your TV, whatever you're using to stream on Twitch. They are doing incredible floor routines, throwing their pom-poms all over the place. They're doing war cries and whoops and cheers because they are so proud of you, because you showed up today and said, all right, I'm going to do an hour-long cardio class on a 90-degree day, and you have made it to the end of that class, and you can go out and do whatever else you want to do. I know that you are going to be able to achieve it, because you achieved this. Woo! Oh, good job, everybody. Holy crap. Let's do some stretching, yeah? let's start here. So soles of the feet together. Take off my glasses. Soles of the feet together and just letting the knees drop open, okay? So I'm not clenching in my hips at all, just letting them fall open. And we want to fold over, but we want to bring our lower back as close to the thighs as possible so that we can really intensify the stretch in the hips. So I don't just want you to swan dive over, because you see that rounds out my lower back and it's really far away from my thighs. That's not doing anything good for the stretch. So instead, take a flat back position and then walk forward one hand at a time as far as you can get. You're not going to be able to maintain a perfect flat back, but it's going to help you to keep bringing that lower back further and further down until finally you can let your upper back curve over and you'll notice the difference in the stretch, all right? So flat back, walk those hands forward one at a time until we're nice and folded over the feet. Shake your head out just a little bit to make sure you're not clenching your neck. And we're just going to take 4 deep breaths here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. Roll on up. Whew. And now let's take a nice wide position. So we're going to do some hamstring stretching. So I'm taking my legs out, nice wide position. I want to keep my knees pointing up towards the ceiling. So depending on where your flexibility is, you may not be able to bring your legs out as far, and that's totally fine, okay? Again, important to be honest with ourselves about where we are. And remembering too that we're not symmetrical creatures, so we may have different degrees of flexibility on each side, depending. So we're going to take this position and we are going to square our shoulders towards one leg and we're going to fold on over, all right? So we're laying across the top of the leg. You want to make sure that that knee back there is still pointing up, not trying to cave forward. You're going to be feeling a lot of stretch in the hamstrings. I want you to make sure you're not clenching your leg. So make sure your kneecaps relax. Take a hand, shake out the quads. You don't want any tension in those muscles. And I'm basically just using the weight of my torso to push the leg down and intensify the hamstring stretch, okay? So let's take 4 deep breaths right here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And now, bring the same arm as leg to the inside, open the opposite shoulder, and then take this arm up and over, reaching towards that foot and getting a nice long stretch along the lats, okay? Grab the toes if you can. If you can't, no worries. And let's take 4 deep breaths here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And pull ourselves back up to seated. And other side. So square those shoulders towards the leg. Fold over. Remember, we don't want to be clenching our knee or our quads. So just shake them out, make sure they're relaxed. Look back at that other leg, make sure that knee is pointing up towards the ceiling still. We're using our body weight to just lengthen the stretch in the hamstrings. And we're gonna take 4 deep breaths here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. Now same arm as leg to the inside. Open that other shoulder. Arm up and over, reaching towards the foot, stretching out the side. Taking those 4 deep breaths here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And back up. And just sort of shake your knees out and bring your legs back together. Shaking those knees out. All right. Oops, stop that. Good job, everybody. And always remember that that's just a little bit of stretching. You can keep that train going for as long as you need to, all right? Just lurking, yeah, no. It's good. I love having lurkers in the chat because, like, here's the thing. You don't have to take class to get value because I'm always talking about form. You can look up, you can watch demonstrations. Like, there is absolutely value, even if you aren't somewhere where you can actually take class. Just coming and hanging out, having fun with us, laughing at all of the poor schmucks who are having to crush themselves with that Wednesday cardio class. Oh, good job, everybody. That was definitely exactly what I needed, and hopefully was the same for you. Let's water. It's water. Let's have some water, shall we? Just Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's the big thing. I talk about it all the time. Fitness friend reminding you to hydrate, because boy, you know, it was, I believe that my thermostat estimated it was almost 80 degrees up here when I turned the AC on, and I don't have a lot of confidence that it got that much lower by the time I started class. And then of course, you know, when you're working out, you're making the air more humid, and I'm in a fairly small enclosed room, which means that, you know, the humidity is not getting cleared away by anything. And when air is more humid, our body's cooling system isn't quite as effective because it depends on the fluid, the sweat, being able to evaporate off your skin. That's what actually cools us down. So yeah, again, I have to remember to turn on the AC sooner. But it was still an excellent class. And I'm feeling much more energized for the rest of the week, and I hope that you are too, my friends. Yeah, here we are, moving into our second summer together, which is just wild to me. I mean, I know I've been doing this for over a year, but man, does it not feel like it until moments like this where I'm like, yeah, this is our second June. working together. Holy crap. And I hope that y'all are enjoying it and keep coming and hanging out. So we've got 2 more classes this week. Friday at 5 p.m. is Mountain Time. All my times are Mountain Time. Friday at 5 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. Then Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, which is our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. So I hope that you join for either or both of those classes. My end card is still not correct. It's still claiming 6 p.m. So I promise I'll actually update those this week. But yes, 5 p.m. on Friday, 9 a.m. on Saturday. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I have a Ko-fi account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you're able to support a little more long-term. Either way, your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep growing this channel and this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome fitness class. I stream 4 days a week. We have an excellent community here, and the more the merrier. Now, finish off that water, make sure to refill it, keep hydrating, grab some food, start replenishing those glycogen stores, take that celebratory post-workout shower, and I will see you all back here again on Friday. Mwah! Have a great night.